In my family, I have my two parents and two sisters. My sisters are much older than me, 6 and 8 years older than me. So because my sisters were much older than me, we were always in different stages of life. So I always found it hard to relate to them because firstly, different stages in life, and secondly, just sisters and brothers. Like, it was hard for me. And to be honest, the dynamic was never really the best. And a huge part of that probably is my fault because when we did live together, I was young. So, I was a brat. That's the best way I can say it. I was a brat, 12 years old, 13 years old. It's like, I was a brat. Because I was a brat, and because we were in different stages of life, so it was just harder for us to relate to each other. It always felt like I was alone, or I always secluded myself. Whenever I'd get home, I'd just go straight to my room and just enjoy time by myself. And I'm genuinely grateful for this because during my childhood, from about when I was born up until about 13, I learned to enjoy being alone. I was so content being by myself. In fact, I preferred to be by myself. Because of that, I've just naturally become a quiet person. I'm very quiet because I enjoy just retreating within myself. But recently, in the last 2 to 3 years, I lost that. I'm still relatively quiet. Like, if you meet me, I probably won't talk much because I'm just comfortable listening to other people. But recently, in the last 2 to 3 years, I lost that. I was always searching for companionship, from women especially. And I'm not in a relationship now. I don't have many close friends. And I like it that way because I'm learning how to love being alone. See, most of my friends have gone to university and I'm still in Zim. And I still have a few left here. But I spend most of my days at home, working on this YouTube channel, just reading, trying to improve myself. Out of the 24 hours in a day, I spent 21 alone, basically, because my parents would be at work, my sister would have been at work. So I spent 21 hours alone. And I'm so grateful for this period. I don't know if I can do this long term, but I'm so grateful for it because I'm relearning to love being alone. I can't even explain how much I love retreating within myself. And what I mean by retreating within myself is literally to sit with myself, literally no distractions, to be alone in its purest form. I'm just sitting. All I have is my thoughts. And I love that. I've learned to love being alone. This is something that I hope you develop because it's a necessity. You need to love being alone. Especially if you want to achieve something great, you're going to have to be in solitude for a long time. You're going to have to go down the road not taken, a road that is unpopular. And if you don't like being alone, it will damage you in the long run because you start searching for companionship from the wrong people. I found that nowadays, more than ever, people hate being alone or just the feeling of being alone. So they're either always talking to someone on WhatsApp, Instagram, or on a video call, or they're trying to stimulate themselves to numb that feeling of being alone. They'll always have music in their ear. They'll always be listening to some podcast, just doing something, just to numb that feeling of being alone. And we all know that if you want to achieve something great, you need to be different from the rest. So if most people on earth are scared of being alone and hate it, you need to learn how to love it. You need to actually cultivate some type of enjoyment for being alone. When I think about all the great people, when you think about people like Henry Ford, Isaac Newton, even like Elon Musk, all the people who have achieved great things, when I think of them, I imagine them to have spent a lot of time in solitude, thinking about their next move, or just resting in solitude. I don't believe you can achieve anything great if you're constantly surrounded by other people and if you never take time to retreat. You have to learn how to love being alone. Because imagine Marcus Aurelius, all these great people, they probably spent 2 hours sitting in their room, just looking like this. They were just thinking. They enjoyed being alone. And in fact, I know for a fact that Marcus Aurelius enjoyed being alone because he always talks about how the best thing a man can do is retreat within himself. What he means by retreat within himself is just to be alone and sit with your thoughts. I believe that the reason why people don't like being alone is because during these periods, the noise of the world is quieted down. Your soul is always whispering to you. But if the world is so noisy, if you allow yourself to be distracted by everything in the world, you'll never be able to hear your soul. It's during these times where you're alone that now you can hear the whisper of your soul. And normally, because you've avoided being alone, there's some demons that you have to fight, some things that you're uncomfortable with, some self-discovery that shows you that, you really aren't that great and you have a lot of work to do. And people don't like that feeling. It's uncomfortable to know that, I have a lot of work to do. Look, there's no hack to loving being alone. I can't tell you that, you need to do this, you need to go outside at this time and that time. Loving being alone is sort of like going to the gym. At first, you're going to hate it. It's going to be painful. But then eventually, as you do it more and more, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to find out that, that voice in my head is actually quite funny. Because you're the funniest person to yourself. You just need to let that voice in your head speak. What I recommend is that you have a morning routine. and a late afternoon routine if you can. Like if you're tied up with work or school, just choose one between the morning routine and the late afternoon routine where you sit by yourself and you just have your journal. No music, no nothing, just sitting by yourself with your journal. I promise you, this is the best thing that you can do. Because first of all, you will give your mind time to think. You will declutter your mind, and eventually now you have this calmness, this serenity within you. And secondly, you will just, as I said before, you'll find out that, you know what, the guy within is actually very funny. I enjoy just sitting by myself so much because the thoughts that I come up with, they're so entertaining. Because I'll just be observing, I'm like, wow, what are thoughts that I've just thought about? So essentially, to love being alone, you're just gonna have to do it more. You need to intentionally incorporate it into your day. And once you now love being alone, it'll improve every area of your life, especially your relationships. Because you'll find that now that you love being alone, you won't just accept someone into your life because they need to fill a void. You'll only accept people in your life when they genuinely add something to your life, when they genuinely give you value. And I found I'm now at that stage. I don't let many people into my life. I don't tell many people the deep, intimate parts of my life because, you know what, I love being alone and I'm okay with it. I have my friends, and for you to come into my close circle, you're gonna have to add a lot of value to my life, and I also have to add a lot of value to yours because relationships are transactional. But that's not the point. So yeah, as I've said before, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. You probably won't enjoy it for the first few days, first few weeks, but I promise you, after a few months, you'll be looking forward to that time that you spend alone. So yeah, you have no other choice. You have to learn to love being alone. That's it for today. Cheers, gents. Like, subscribe, turn post notifications on.